The conference room smelled like lemon furniture polish and old carpet. February light came through the blinds at an angle that made everything look tired. My wife sat across from me, her attorney beside her, and between us was a folder thick enough to feel like evidence. She was checking her phone. Not nervous, not conflicted, just impatient. Sign page 12, her attorney said, sliding the document toward me. Transfer of property, clean break. I looked at the page. Our house. 22 years of mortgage payments, repairs, arguments about paint colors, Christmas mornings. She wanted it. All of it. And she wanted me to simply hand it over. Michael, she said, not looking up from her screen, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I didn't shout. I didn't argue. I picked up the pen, clicked it once, and set it back down. I'd like my attorney to review this first. She finally looked at me. You're kidding. I'm not. Her lawyer shifted in his chair. She blinked twice, like I'd just spoken a foreign language. What she didn't know, what neither of them knew, was that I'd already read every word of that document. Twice. And I'd found something they thought I'd never noticed.
They were wrong. My name is Michael Preston. I'm 51. For 26 years, I worked in municipal compliance, the department that makes sure the city's contracts don't become lawsuits. It's not glamorous work. Nobody throws parties for compliance officers. But it teaches you to read the fine print. It teaches you that what people don't say is often more important than what they do. I met Karen at a community fundraiser in 1998. She was volunteering at the registration table. I was there because my boss made me go. She laughed at something I said about the rubber chicken dinner, and 6 months later we were engaged. The wedding was small. The house came 3 years after that. A 2-story colonial with a maple tree in the front yard and a mortgage that felt impossible until it didn't. For most of those years, things were stable. That's the word I'd use, stable. Not passionate, not turbulent, just steady. She worked part-time at a dental office. I brought home the paycheck that covered the mortgage, the insurance, the property taxes. We had routines. Friday nights were pizza. Sundays were grocery runs. We didn't fight much because I didn't argue much. But somewhere in the middle years, I started noticing the small things. The way she'd sigh when I suggested a movie. The way my opinion on paint colors or vacation plans would get a polite nod and then ignored. The way she'd say, we need, but mean, I want, and I just absorb it. One Saturday, I spent 4 hours fixing the kitchen faucet. She walked past me twice and didn't say a word. When I finished, she said, finally. Not thank you. Finally. I let it go. I let a lot go. It started unraveling 6 months before that conference room. Karen came home one evening in March, set her purse on the kitchen counter and said, I need you to move out. I was putting away groceries, cereal, milk, the usual. I stopped mid-motion, a can of soup still in my hand. What? I need space, she said. I've been thinking about this for a while. It's not working, Michael. You know it's not working. I set the can down carefully. We can talk about this. We can... No. She cut me off with a tone I'd never heard before. Flat. Decided. I've already talked to a lawyer. I want the house. You can take the car. I'm not trying to be unfair, but I need you to be reasonable about this. Reasonable. That word hung in the air like smoke. The house is in both our names, I said. I know. That's why I need you to cooperate. She pulled a business card from her purse and placed it on the counter. This is my attorney. He'll send over paperwork. Just don't make this ugly, okay? She walked upstairs. I heard the bedroom door close. Not slam, close. I stood there in the kitchen, the overhead light buzzing faintly, and felt my chest tighten. Not with anger, not yet. With something colder. Clarity. That was the moment something inside me went quiet. I didn't move out that night. I didn't move out the next week. Karen started sleeping in the guest room. We moved around each other like strangers in an airport terminal. She stopped cooking. I started eating cereal for dinner. The house felt enormous and suffocating at the same time. 2 weeks later, the paperwork arrived. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Proposed property settlement agreement. I sat at the kitchen table and read every page. Twice. She wanted the house, the joint savings, her car, and half my pension. I get my car, my personal belongings, and the privilege of walking away quietly. On page 12, buried in section 7, clause 7C, there was a sentence that made me read it 3 times. In the event the property is transferred solely to petitioner, petitioner agrees to assume all existing and future liabilities associated with said property, including but not limited to outstanding liens, encumbrances, and tax obligations. I sat back, reached for my phone, called a buddy from work who'd gone through a divorce. "Dave," I said, "do you know a good attorney?" He gave me a name. I called the next morning. Her name was Sharon Beckett. Mid-50s, sharp eyes, the kind of handshake that tells you she doesn't waste time. I brought her the paperwork. She read it in silence, made 2 notes in the margin, then looked up at me. "Did you read clause 7? She asked. I did. "Did your wife?" "I don't think so." Sharon smiled. It wasn't warm. It was surgical. "Good. Don't sign anything yet. Let me make some calls." I spent the next 3 weeks in what I can only describe as a quiet fog. I went to work. I filed reports. I came home to a house that felt like evidence. Karen avoided me. When she did speak, it was logistical. "I need the garage code." The insurance bill came. She was polite, transactional. One night my phone buzzed, a text from her attorney. "We need this signed by Friday. Let's not drag this out." I didn't respond. I forwarded it to Sharon. Her reply came 10 minutes later. "Let them wait." I started organizing. Methodically. Quietly. I pulled bank statements going back 5 years. I found receipts. I documented every major repair I'd paid for on the house. New roof in 2019. HVAC replacement in 2021. Foundation work in 2023. All paid from joint funds. All invoiced in my name. I made folders, digital and physical. I labeled everything. Sharon called me on a Tuesday. "I found something," she said. "There's a lien on your property." "A what?" "A contractor lien. Filed 8 months ago. Looks like work was done on the house and never paid in full. $22,000. Does that ring a bell?" I thought back. Last summer. Karen wanted the deck rebuilt. She'd hired a contractor through a friend. Said she'd handle it. I wrote the check for the deposit. $10,000. She said the rest would come out of her account. "She told me it was paid," I said. "It wasn't, and if the property transfers to her name, she's liable. Solely liable." I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. Friday came. The meeting. The conference room. The lemon polish smell. Karen's attorney started with pleasantries. Karen didn't make eye contact. She wanted this over. She wanted the house, the clean break, the next chapter. Sharon arrived exactly on time. She set her briefcase down with a deliberate thunk, opened it, and pulled out a single folder. "Before we proceed," Sharon said, "I'd like to clarify something in the settlement agreement. Page 12, clause 7. Karen's attorney flipped to it. Karen looked confused. Sharon read aloud. "In the event the property is transferred solely to petitioner, petitioner agrees to assume all existing and future liabilities associated with said property, including but not limited to outstanding liens, encumbrances, and tax obligations." She paused. Let it breathe. "Are you aware," Sharon continued, "that there is currently a $22,000 contractor lien filed against the property?" The room went still. Karen's attorney stiffened. I'll need to verify that." Sharon slid a document across the table. "Already done. Filed August 14th of last year. Unpaid balance for deck construction. If Mrs. Preston takes sole ownership, she assumes sole responsibility for that debt." Karen's face went pale. "That's not, I thought—" "You thought what?" Sharon's voice was calm, clinical. "I thought it was paid." "It wasn't." Karen turned to me. For the first time in months, she looked at me like I was a person and not an obstacle. Michael, you know I can't afford that. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence stretch. Then I spoke quietly, evenly, the way I'd practiced. You told me it was handled. I meant to. You wanted the house. You wanted me out. You wanted it clean. I leaned forward slightly. This is what clean looks like. Her attorney cleared his throat. We can renegotiate. Sharon cut him off. No, you can withdraw the petition, or my client can file a counter petition, including full financial discovery. We have documentation showing Mrs. Preston misrepresented the property's financial status. We're prepared to proceed either way. Karen looked at her attorney. He looked at his notes. Nobody spoke. Finally, Karen's voice came out small. What do you want? I'd thought about this moment for weeks. What I'd say, how I'd say it. In the end, it was simple. I want you to understand something, I said. I didn't break anything. I stopped pretending. I stood. Sharon stood with me. We walked out of that conference room, past the receptionist, into the hallway that smelled like old coffee and stress. I didn't look back. The divorce took another 4 months. We sold the house, split the proceeds after the lien was cleared. Karen moved to an apartment across town. I bought a small condo near the river. 1 bedroom, hardwood floors, a balcony that gets morning light. The first night I spent there alone, I made coffee and stood on that balcony. The air was cool. The city was waking up. I could hear traffic in the distance, the faint hum of life continuing. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel victorious. I felt unburdened. For 26 years, I'd carried the weight of being accommodating, reasonable, the one who didn't make waves. And in the end, it was that same patience, that same attention to detail that saved me. Silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's preparation. If you'd been in my place, would you have signed that document and walked away? Or would you have read the fine print and fought back? Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Your presence means more than you know. And if stories like this matter to you, subscribe. Let's keep walking this road together.